There's something very comforting in consistency, a pleasure to be found in the warm embrace of the familiar, and there's no series as consistent in video games as Omega Force's Warriors titles. Since the release of Dynasty Warriors 2 in 2000, the foundational components of its 1 vs 1000 hack and slash action has remained largely the same, spare a few tactical spin-offs and an ill-received 9th entry that everyone is pretty keen to forget about. It's astounding, really, that the Warriors games have persisted for as long as they have, and I genuinely believe it has everything to do with the franchise's consistency. I would describe myself as a tourist in the country of Musou, popping in periodically every other year when a new entry or spin-off catches my eye. There's nothing else out there quite like a Warriors game, and that's probably because Koei Tecmo themselves have managed to not only conquer the market, but also dilute it, releasing multiple entries in multiple series that all feature the same iconic gameplay. To be honest, I'd be surprised if you've never played a Warriors game before. Outside of Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, and Warriors Orochi, there's Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, Dragon Quest Heroes, the Gundam ones I can't remember the name of, and even Persona 5 Strikers. The amount of games in this subgenre is wild, and more often than not, it's these licensed spin-offs that players are most familiar with thanks to the selling power of something like a Zelda or a Persona. So it's always fascinating to me when Omega Force returns to their core franchises, Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. You'd assume that it's here, back on home turf, that the team would be more willing to experiment, altering and playing with that core formula in an attempt to keep things fresh after 21 long years. You'd think so, anyway, but consistency, as I say, is comforting. Samurai Warriors 5 is, for better or worse, a Warriors game. There are tiny changes here and there, small quality of life improvements, and interesting folds to the recognisable foundations that keep things feeling fresh enough to justify a new numbered entry. But in general, Samurai Warriors 5 is more of the same, to the extent that it leaves you wondering if Omega Force was so burned by the overwhelmingly negative reaction to Dynasty Warriors 9 that it may be a long time before we see any change as significant as the team's disastrous attempt to make the series open world. For what it's worth, as someone who plays Warriors games sporadically, I had a wonderful time with Samurai Warriors 5. I found it to be enjoyable nonsense, a McDonald's Big Mac of a game, familiar, reliable, and fulfilling. A solid, 7 out of 10. For those left in the dark, Samurai Warriors 5 pits you against thousands of on-screen enemies within a fairly sizable map. You spend the majority of your time slashing through hordes of harmless grunts, combining light and heavy attacks to elevate your combo into the thousands. Killing enemies fills up 2 bars, one that boosts your attack power and another that allows you to execute a Musou move. These special moves, that are unique to each character, deal huge damage and have a wide area of effect. Combining both bars together results in an even more powerful Musou move that easily decimates even the strongest of your adversaries. In between the mindless killing, you are given a number of objectives that require you to navigate the map's maze-like passageways and wide open spaces to kill named characters that pose an actual threat to your reign of chaos. No doubt, if you've played a Warriors game before, all of this is very familiar to you. But does it really matter if things are familiar when chewing through so many dumb soldiers still feels this good? There's no greater power fantasy than this, I think. From the very first level, you are an unstoppable force of steel and momentum, and your power only grows from there. Warriors games aren't particularly hard. In fact, even on normal, I would describe the act of playing a Warriors game as almost meditative. It's a game about crowd control, about finding the most efficient way of navigating complicated spaces in such a way that will allow you to maintain your ludicrously high combos. It's about pulling off ridiculous special moves that dazzle and delight no matter how many times you perform them. For many glorious hours, I remembered just why I love Warriors games so much. The chances are you've already experienced what Samurai Warriors 5 has to offer countless times before, but that doesn't stop it from being as marvelous as it's always been. So What's new? Well, you can equip each character with up to 4 abilities that can be used during combat. These moves bolster your basic moveset and are one of many additions that allow you to customize the game's roster of over 35 characters to reflect your preferred playing style. Elsewhere, the My Castle menu allows you to upgrade characters, weapons, and mounts as you progress through the game's main Muso mode. Individual buildings can themselves be upgraded by completing missions in a separate Citadel mode. These missions task you with defending a castle against waves of enemies, and additional time can be gained by completing optional objectives that draw you away from your poorly defended gate. I actually found myself returning to this mode more regularly than I needed to, finding it provided a distilled Muso experience that was free of any of the narrative that plagues the main missions. Which brings us to the story. Samurai Warriors 5 is a reboot of sorts that tells the tale of warring factions during the Sengoku era of Japanese history. Although inspired by actual historical events and people, the narrative is piss. To the extent that I started skipping cutscenes entirely after about 2 hours with the game. It's painfully dull, tediously delivered, and basically boils down to, well, character X went here and fought character Y, but then character Y joined character X before defecting again, and so X fought Y. It's bad, and I cared little for what was happening. Fans of the series may get more out of this than I did. While we're on the subject of shortcomings, the game's camera is absolutely rancid, specifically when locking onto an enemy. Removing control from the player to prioritise keeping your rival in focus, the camera has a habit of getting stuck in walls, jittering all over the place as it gets hopelessly confused. It sucks, and I sincerely hope it gets patched shortly after launch. Thankfully, the game's presentation is a massive step forward for the series. Taking inspiration from traditional Japanese art, Samurai Warriors 5 has cel-shaded graphics that look wonderful. Warriors games have often suffered in the visuals department as presentation is sacrificed for technical performance and enemy count, but the stylized graphics of Samurai Warriors 5 result in a game that looks clean and colourful. Character designs are very anime, but their thick black outlines give the whole game a comic book feel that complements the ludicrous on-screen action extremely well. So with all that said and done, would I recommend Samurai Warriors 5? I think I would. Despite its flaws, the fundamental foundation that lies at the heart of the game is as wonderful as ever. New additions such as customizable abilities, a larger array of upgrade options, and the Citadel mode add some additional depth to an already jam-packed game, while the brand new visuals are a welcome and perhaps much needed change. Whether you're a long-term fan or someone looking to jump into the Warriors series for the first time, you can't go wrong with Samurai Warriors 5. Hey, thank you so much for watching this review. If you're a Warriors fan, and maybe if you've experienced Samurai Warriors games in the past, I would be very curious to know what your opinion on this game is. As I mentioned up top, I've only played a few of these games for very short periods of time, so I would love to know what you think of the 5th edition. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a like and make sure to subscribe to 7 out of 10 for more reviews just like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. New videos on this channel every single week.